Hey everyone, it's Parker from Del Toro Films, and thought I'd get online today and share a few more things with you. One is that Guillermo has been working at DreamWorks for a while now. He's been involved as either an executive producer or a creative consultant for Kung Fu Panda 2, Puss in Boots, Rise of the Guardians, How to Train Your Dragons 2. The latest one that's going to be coming out is Kung Fu Panda 3, and they just released some production artwork online. So I got the production artwork from Kung Fu Panda 3 at deltorofilms.com, so if you want to check out what that's like, if you're a fan of the movies, which I am big time, you might want to go to the website and check that out. The other thing is that the San Diego Comic-Con Nerdist Podcast interview with Guillermo and Tom Hiddleston is now online. So if you like the Chris Hardwick and you like the Nerdist podcast, which I do, you can go out there and download it, go to the Nerdist website and check it out. There's lots of good Crimson Peak stuff, and you really get to watch Guillermo and Tom Hiddleston just make fun of each other, which is always entertaining. The last thing I want to talk about is the latest episode of The Strain. So if you saw the most recent episode 3, Fort Defiance, that episode made quite the wave on the internet. It's a polarizing episode. You either love it or you hate it. And I think it's definitely worth talking about. For sure, Gary Diocampo, our West Coast editor, and I will be getting online on our Del Toro Films podcast, and we're going to talk a little bit about the episode in more detail, but I'm going to share a few of my thoughts with you right here on YouTube. First of all, the one thing that really, the two things really stuck out. One thing that stuck out in particular on the latest episode was Abraham Satrakian grinding up the bloodworms and cooking them and processing them and dropping them in his eye, which he says has allowed him to remain young over time, since he technically would be 94 years old. So I saw it. I kind of understand it. I mean, if you need a logical explanation for the reason a 94-year-old man can chase people around, chase vampires around with a blade, and be somewhat mobile, I guess you can explain it. But I don't know if the bloodworms was the right answer. Why not make the sheer drive of Satrakian, that desire for him to confront and kill the master, be enough for him to outwit nature or outlast nature? Why not make it, just an obsession that's allowed him to exceed the hands of time, if that makes sense. So I kind of like that aspect. I'm not sure if I'm a big bloodworm guy. Grind up the bloodworms and drop it in your eye kind of guy. Seemed like a little stretch. I don't know. Maybe if they do something more with it later, maybe I'll start to be a big fan, but I'm not sure it added a whole lot to the story, so we'll see what happens. So the other thing, and this has been driving me crazy for a while now, is why isn't New York in a state of complete and total panic? The fact that Zac Efron's son could jump on the night bus and take it down the street seems a little strange to me. I would think that if vampires are known to be lurking in the streets and alleys of New York City, which they obviously are, considering that they displayed the bodies during a political rally, why not send in the American Guard or the National Guard and to start kicking some ass? And hey, if I may borrow something from Eddie Murphy, if you've ever seen some of his old stand-up, he talks about what it'd be like if if he was in the Amityville Horror House. I'd kind of be like that, where I'd come to New York and I was like, oh, baby, this is really nice. They got everything here. They got a lot of nice restaurants. They got a nice little apartment on the street here. I think we're going to be great. And then she'd be like, well, what about all those vampires down the street? I'd be like, well, too bad we can't stay, baby. Get your stuff. So that would be me. And I would think that, hey, I'm not a New Yorker. Hey, maybe you New Yorkers are really tough. Tougher than I am. I just live in Indiana. But if you're more than happy to kind of hang out while the vampire apocalypse is happening, let things run its course. I'll go to the grocery during the day, but at night I'll stay home, and we'll see how this thing shakes out. Maybe that's more your style. But for me, I'd be like getting my stuff and I'd be out of town. Thank you very much. And please call in a nuclear strike and I'll collect the insurance. Fair enough, right? So, in all seriousness, though, it seems a little strange that more is not being made of this panic. I'd like to see the streets totally empty. There's those two cops at the beginning of the episode who see Bolivar and they just kind of get out of their car and they're like, oh, well, looks like another troublemaker. I got this one, Bob. Call it in. But in reality, I would think that those guys would be getting every shotgun out of their trunk as soon as they see a guy with pasty white skin and calling for backup. I'm just saying. So it's a little flawed. I'm still a fan of this show. There's some things that are causing me to roll my eyes at the moment, but I'm still a fan. And I'm holding out hope because even the great series have an episode that's kind of flawed. I'm not ready to call the Fonzarelli jump the shark just yet. Not at all. Not at all. Because the next episode is the Silver Angel, which is one of the parts of the book I've been really looking forward to. So Guillermo, I know at one point in time, said he really wanted to shoot the Lucador Silver Angel scenes himself. So I'm really curious to see if he does that. But let's cast this episode aside, episode 3, and see where we start to go with episode 4. And I'm hoping this is where the action really starts. So that's my opinion, just one man's opinion. And I hope you can take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I do host the Del Toro Films website, and I seem a little biased, but I try to be fair. I'm still excited for the show, and let's see what happens next, all right? All right.